We have a beautiful photo of her out in the fields here with two of her bottles next to her. And she was my constant companion. She went with me everywhere.
Is there going to be a Lily too this year? Even though this is a Connecticut wine, it's a Connecticut operation, it really has an international flair to it in a lot of ways, whether it's the food at wine or the wine here. And I know for a fact we have listeners all over the United States. I also know we have a couple of international, because there are people who used to work for me who had subscribed to this overseas. If they want to get wine, where do they go to order it? How can they join your wine clubs? Give them the address. How do we get there? How do we?
You could look up Tranquillity Vineyard, and with two L's, which was the way J. Howard Whittemore, who founded this farm in 1892, spelled it. He created his own private English country estate for the summer, and he actually, it's lots of interesting history. Hired McKim and White, who at the turn of the century were the most well-known architects in the country, to do all the buildings. Hired Warren Manning and Frederick Olmsted to design the grounds. You know, they did Central Park, Boston Garden. So that the history that's in this property is insane. And one more piece before I'll go back to what Frank was talking about is Whittemore was a collector of French Impressionist art. And he actually had the largest collection in the world at the turn of the century. And in fact, the other wealthy families that owned factories copied him and probably got advice from him and also bought the same art. And in the 80s, the great-grandson was a patient of mine, and he was my neighbor, and we got invited to a Christmas party. And in one room at their home on the lake, there were 4 Monet haystack paintings. And one of those, I think, about 25 years ago, so for 80 or 85 million. The family sold the collection, my understanding is, in the 80s for about $30 million. And local art historians and art dealers say that if the family still had the collection, it'd be worth $3 billion.
It was such an experience. The chef comes over, and you basically empower the chef, and especially when you're there with him and his wife, it's top notch, because they're always going to go the extra mile, but they go even more of the mile when the boss is there, and they really want to leave that impression. And it was a natural flow. It wasn't somebody trying to kiss up to the boss. You can tell it was sincere. And the food they came out with was just killer. So, and this is why I say it's a destination place. You can come up here on a spring day, a fall day. You go to the furniture store. You can check out Take 5 Audio. You can get a whole entertainment system or whatever for your house. You can come up to the winery. You can actually sit outside and smoke a cigar and have something to eat while you're here at the winery. And then finish it out with a late dinner or something at Vine. And it's a whole day where you just get to take something in, a pleasure in.
I think the best way to become a winemaker is to be a consultant, because I spend most of my time as a consultant, not just helping people make wine, but fixing wine, meaning they didn't do something right, or the wine was too acidic or too tannic or not enough tannins. So I'm really good at fixing a wine and tweaking that wine. And we don't bottle a wine here until we're really happy with it. I will wait, even if I have to wait months to get it right, I'll get that thing right before it hits the floor. People think winemaking is just in the fall, but we are, it's a year-round process, not an 8-hour-a-day process, but we just got done with our final racking. We're going to start cold and heat stabilizing our whites, which we're doing right now. We're in the process of heat stabilizing, then we'll cold stabilize.
What I really love here is it's not mass-produced wine. You have a select number of cases that you produce for each. You can't buy it anywhere. Well, you can get it as a restaurant. You can get it at Vine, but it's not like you can go into a package store or another restaurant to get this. So it's really tight control in the wine clubs, which I really like. And it's a great opportunity for people to get the wine. But what is your goal? Like, what are you looking for from a production standpoint? 26, 27, 28. How are you looking to advance that?
We've got the capacity here that most people don't. Like I said, I've got 18 tanks and most of them are 1,000-gallon. And we've done 1,000-gallon batches here. But I kind of have to, Dean lets me call the shots on what we need to make in the fall. So I'll look at inventory, see how it's moving. Do we need to make this next year? Do we do 1,000 gallons or do we do 500 gallons? Do we have enough? Because you have to be careful with whites. Whites don't last. It's like a redwood. I can keep reds in our inventory room for 5-10 years and they'll be fine. My wines are able to last years. Whites, no matter who makes them, don't last more than, say, 3 years. They kind of peak out. So that wine will hit this, be really good. And all of a sudden the cart, it kind of loses its nose and its flavor, its acidity. And we don't want to serve that wine here. So we watch our level to see what we're going to make. Again, the sources we buy from are more on the higher end. So I spend Dean's money like it's mine, and I will only order what we need to order. As an example, the restaurant was asking for Chardonnay. People were coming in, and when you go to the Vine, by the way, there's a Tranquillity Vineyard menu, and you could pick off of that. And it's selling well, but they were asking for Chardonnay, which we haven't made yet. So last year I made 500 gallons, which isn't a lot for us. It was 4 pallets, and we're down to like a pallet and a half already. We just let it go in April. So we know the Chardonnay is going to be going. So we're making more of that this year. Obviously, we make the wines from our vineyard. We made a lot. We made 1,000 gallons of our 2 blends last year, which should hold us off for a bit. And like I said, they could sit there for years, and my reds will age very nicely over time.
And you have your rosés too, are very different year.
Yeah, what's funny about rosé, and it's kind of out of my control. We buy the same rosé from Lonza Vineyards. It's a Gamay grape. They will crush it and destem it for us, ship it here, and I process it. So I get the same grape. I use the same protocol. I use the same yeast. Yet every year it's a little different. So I know it's not me, all right? And I know it's not the tank or the yeast. It's the environment they're growing it in. They always come out good. But a couple of years ago, it was strawberry. Last year, it was watermelon. It varies. And customers will say to me, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I can't control that part of it. But this year's rosé, I'm already warning the customers, it's a little darker than last year's. So, there's different hues in the wine, but it's got a beautiful nose on it, but it's a little bit darker. And that all comes from, if we want to discuss rosé making someday, it comes from how long the skins sit before they press from me. Our wines that we make here, we control that ourselves. But when I get the juice from California, I take what they give me. So it's going to be a little darker this year, but it's still going to be good.
And you've had some really, really phenomenal ports.
Yeah, we make 3 different ports here. And I'm pretty good at making ports. And I made them at home too, but we make a red port, which Dean allowed me to put it in a beautiful port bottle, 500 ml bottle, which is gorgeous. It's a wonderful wine. It's oaked. I bring the alcohols up to 18 to 20%, which is for port. I only back sweeten it enough just to take the bite off the alcohol. I don't like a sweet port, but it goes down. And you drink our ports here. It's not like a port you'd buy at the package store from Portugal. It doesn't have that whiskey taste to it. It tastes like, wow, this is a really good wine, but you've got to drink about this much of it. Otherwise you'll get bombed. It's high alcohol. Yeah. We also I take that same port, which is made from Petit Syrah, by the way, and I chocolate infuse it. We put it in a different bottle, and people love that. And then we make a white port, which we've sold out of, which I'm making more of right now. That's made from white Muscat grapes that I ferment on the skin. So I get a whole different structure on it. We're actually making our own brandy now, which we're adding to our own wines, which I think is a step above. So we will take some of our wines, sell it to Litchfield Distillery. They'll distill it for us, send it back. We bought some barrels from them. So we're actually aging our own brandy in our barrel, which we'll make our own port out of. We've discussed having port and dessert pairings here, not as an event as much as someone can come in and order some of the white port with a piece of vanilla cake or lemon cake or cheesecake with the chocolate or chocolate cake with the chocolate infused port. So we're trying to give people experiences that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah. You got a great one this year named after your dog, Lily.
Right.
Is there going to be a Lily too this year? Because the dog, phenomenal. The wine, a great homage.
Yeah.
To the dog.
There is. We're making Lily this year. You
definitely got to try Lily. You got to try Lily.
Lily sold out last year. Lily was almost 18-year-old Maltese of mine that became the matriarch of the vineyard. And it really is interesting because she passed away about 2.5 months ago. And she was my constant companion. She went with me everywhere. But what was really interesting, and people would come to the vineyard to see her. And when she passed away, we haven't announced it. We have a beautiful photo of her out in the fields here with 2 of her bottles next to her. We're going to make a nice big poster. But people, when they heard, sent flowers to us, people that we didn't even know. So she was a sweetheart. Her wine, everybody loved. We are making it this year, and we're making probably about 2.5 times what we made last year, right?
We'll do about 540 gallons.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, a 500-gallon tank like that you're sitting next to here, or that's in back of me, will make 2,500 bottles of wine. A 1,000-gallon tank makes 5,000 bottles of wine. And Frank asked this, we can make about 80,000 bottles of wine a year here if we make wine once a year. If we want to buy grapes from South America and make wine twice a year, we could double it. We're more interested in making really, fine wine. And I know this is sort of a self-serving comment, but our goal is to be, where people will say, oh, that Tranquillity Vineyard wine is unbelievable. It's as good as California. And obviously, the ones we make for our own grapes are going to be different because they're hybrid. But the ones we're making from California grapes are from California grapes. And it really comes down to how good is the winemaker? And he is phenomenal. So we're trying to make this generational. We actually have taken steps to make sure that the vineyard actually stays in the family. We've had Wine Club almost since we started. And, it's a way that people that love the vineyard can support the vineyard, even if they're not in the area. And it is fun. I'm not going to say it's not, but I will tell you this, and it's a lot of work. And you have to have really phenomenal team members because you can't do it yourself. It's impossible. You can't be especially in today's environment where, you can talk to your phone and find out more than you ever knew existed. But the fine art of like winemaking, the fine art of being able to taste a wine and understand what the flavor is or how to pair it, those are arts. If you went to www.tranquilityvineyard.com, and it's TRANQUILLITY vineyard.com. You can learn about us, read our history. You can find, where you can see the wines. You can sign up for the wine club. And you can always call us or send us an email. You could send us an email to taste@tranquility.com, or you could call us at 203-518-4444.
My coworker, Ben Sterry, who started here a year and a half ago, is the vineyard manager, but he is making everything I do, every step I do here, he does it with me. So I'm mentoring him to take my place this guy doesn't want me to leave, but eventually something's going to happen.
No.
Ben's going to be
Not happening,
winemaker
Frank.
someday, and the vineyard manager. I just want to give him some credit because he does a great job.
So cheers, everyone. Enjoy. Thank you for tuning in today. This guy like it.
All red drinkers.
We're proud to be sponsored by Litchfield Distillery. They like to call themselves batchers in honor of the early farmers of Northwest Connecticut, a region known for its ample yield of wheat, corn, and barley. Growing these crops in the rocky terrain requires grit and determination. For the past decade, Litchfield Distillery has been busy distilling Litchfield County's best harvest into fine craft spirits, one batch at a time. Litchfield Distillery, the spirit of hard work.